Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to an art journal tutorial. This one is Makes from a Masterboard. Join the Color Scheme Challenge. Join my Facebook group, Mixed Media Creations. The colors here are Hooker's Green and Deep Violet. Here's a sneak peek of the makes that I make from the Masterboard. You can click the iCard in the top right-hand corner to see me make this Masterboard. Now, after thinking about it, I absolutely loved this Masterboard and wanted to keep it pretty much as the background as it was. So I'm just cutting it to size for the projects that I have in mind. And I want to do an art journal page where I basically use this as the background, as well as some 4x4 fridge magnets. And you're going to see me create both of those in this tutorial. So the larger piece, I, by chance, had a page that I had painted out with black gesso in my art journal page. Now, my art journal is a Canson Mixed Media 7x10. Now, instead of using this as this complete background, because I wanted to build more contrast, I decided that I'm going to cut this into equally sized sheets, 3 of them. And I'm going to play a little bit with the composition using the black background. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just measuring it out and cutting it into 3 equally sized rectangles that I'm going to arrange on this art journal page. Now, if you don't have black gesso, you can use black acrylic paint. So now I'm just playing with these and getting the positioning how I like it. Now, when I'm looking at them, some of the elements are missing. So some of the Chinese text that I have or Japanese text that I have used in the Masterboard isn't in that corner, and I want to add that. So I'm just adding a little bit of that on to where I think it's missing based on what I'm doing for my composition. So when you have a Masterboard, that doesn't mean you can't add things afterwards. And I'm going to be doing that. So I'm just using my matte medium here and I'm gluing these down where I wanted to add them. This piece, this one, just didn't seem to have enough of it, and I wanted to have it. I also grabbed the stencil that I used while creating the Masterboard, and I'm adding again some details where I would, had I made it as a background right from the start. Because when you do a background, you're kind of thinking about the composition, but when you're doing a Masterboard, you're not. It allows you to be a little freer, so you can add those in to balance things out. And now that I know exactly how I'm using these pieces, I can identify and put them right where I want them. I hope that makes sense. The link to the stencils that I use, this ginkgo leaves as well as that one, will be in the description box below. So I'm just adding a little bit more of these ginkgo leaves on here, stenciling with the black paint. Remember, the Masterboard gives you a place to start. It is a jumping off point, as is a collage paper. You can add to that once you decide what your project is going to be. Now I'm just edging this with black, just mainly to get rid of the white edges more than anything, because I know I'm going to be gluing it onto the black background. So about those Japanese letters that are there, what I did is I downloaded a Japanese font from dafont.com and installed it into my Word program. And then I just randomly typed out the characters onto a sheet of paper, and I used that as a collage sheet. I decided to not put them perfectly straight, The one in the middle is going to be lower down. And that ties in with the sentiment and how I decided to put the sentiment on. So I did mark the center of the page, and I kind of centered that middle one. And the saying or the sentiment that from here is a saying that's been attributed to Buddha: don't wait. Life goes faster than you think. So I thought Japanese lettering, Japanese with the ginkgo leaves, and that it's a very Asian inspired page. And I'm using gel medium here to glue it down. The paper is a little bit thicker, and I really want it to adhere. Eyeballing to get them straight. And just gluing everything down. So a very different page, but I like playing with composition and using things in a different way. I grabbed my fine line bottle. This is white acrylic paint, my Liquitex Basics, that I thinned with water. No recipe, just trial and error. And I'm just edging it with white just to add to it. And I find by doing this, it's not going to be perfectly straight, but it takes away, in case I am not perfectly level, it kind of camouflages or tricks the eye. And I find using the fine line bottle, if I'm pushing away from myself, I tend to get a lot faster and it's easier for me to do. And I decide to do around the outside page just to finish it off. It looked incomplete to me. And there is the finished page. I love it. So we're going to move along to the creation of the second project, which was the fridge magnets. Now I have these paper coasters, 4x4, and I'll put a link to them in the description box because I did get them from Amazon. And I decided to trace them out onto what was left of this masterboard. And I tried to get an interesting composition as much as possible. And I'm thinking, okay, if I put a word on there, just a nice, happy word, I'm not going to be doing too much. But just like the first one on the art journal page, now I'm tweaking the composition and adding things that I wish were there, like the ginkgo leaves, like some purple, or whatever I need to balance what was already on the masterboard. And again, I'm saying it, the masterboard is the jump off point. It isn't the final destination. Just gluing it, just stenciling in some more of these ginkgo leaves. And I absolutely adore this stencil. And with it in the black, I just love how it worked. So now that I have these pages, I am going to glue them on to the cardboard. Now I use the liquid matte medium. Now either I could have used gel medium here, so it's not so liquid, or have gessoed these cardboard coasters. The reason for that is they are cardboard coasters. Their job is to soak up moisture, which they do very well. So once I put this on here, I needed to let this dry for a long period of time. It seemed to absorb and keep the moisture in it. And to prevent that, if you gesso them, it kind of makes it into a non-porous surface, and you can get away with that a little easier. Here I use the switch to the gel medium because I realized the struggle that I was having, and then I used the brayer to press it down and make close contact, and that worked really, really well. You learn as you go. So once it's dry, I took a makeup sponge and the black paint, and I am edging this fridge magnet. It's going to be a fridge magnet. I think this would have been nice to make like a set of 4, and the 2 look great on my fridge, but having 4 with different words that, are all very inspirational, I think would be wonderful to make a nice little collection. The word breathe I had just from a past project, and I was thinking of using it, but then I went in my stash and I got a sentiment sheet that I had printed out words, and I found ones that in my mind went with this Asian theme, and I wanted calmness. So on this one I put rewind, restore, reclaim, and I'm just playing with placement and size. And as usual, I spend an awful lot of time doing that. And this one I just have seek balance. And I'm trying it. I'm turning the thing till I get the right composition. And did it work when the 2 words were together, or did I cut them apart? Like I said, I spend an awful lot of time deciding. I'm using the matte medium and just putting it down on top and bottom. Too lazy to grab a brush. Fingers work. Now I will give this a coat of polyacrylic varnish that I buy from the hardware store. Once that was done, I decided I needed a little bit more purple in there with the dots. So I'm coming in with the stencil and just adding those final details, making it all balance and work. And I grab my Sakura glaze pen. This is black. It is dimensional and it is shiny. And it just adds that finishing touch to these soon to be fridge magnets. And I'm going around the outside edge just to, again, add that finishing detail. It really is about a lot of these little details. So if you're thinking your page isn't done, maybe you just need a little of those finishing tricks. Pay attention to people's videos and see how they're finishing it off. having used the Masterboard, that really made this process quite quick. Doing both of these pages was just over an hour, the two fridge magnets. Now these dots I get from the dollar store, but I'll put a link to ones I can find on Amazon if you're looking for them. I have the little squares, which work. I could put in all four corners and it holds the magnet perfectly well. They're soft, so they're not going to scratch your surface as well. There you go. Thanks so much for watching. And here are some close-ups of the finished projects. I absolutely love this Masterboard. We'll definitely be using that ginkgo leaves stencil and the Japanese font collage papers again. Give me a thumbs up, share this video. Please join my Instagram. Start following me at Creative Katie. See you next time.